what which is a monthly show where we talk about various topics relating to Prince Hall Masonry. My name is Dave Gillarm. I'm your host for tonight. I'm a past master at Mount Pisgah Lodge number 53, located in Columbus, Georgia, where Cornelius Wilson Jr. serves as our worshipful master. And I also have the pleasure of serving as the worshipful grand historian for the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia, where the Honorable Bruce A. James serves as our most worshipful grand master. As always, the views and opinions that are expressed by us tonight in no way reflect the views and opinions of the lodges and grand lodges in which we hold membership. Tonight's show is part of another segment in the Young Leaders mini series, and where we're going to talk about mentorship in the lodge. But next, we're going to turn to some of the other panelists for the introduction. So, Brother James Morgan.
Good evening and Happy New Year to all of our viewers out there in Internet land. My name is James R. Morgan III. I am a past master of Corinthian Lodge number 18. And I also have the pleasure and honor of serving as the Worshipful Associate Grand Historian of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia here in the nation's capital, where the Honorable Philip David is now presiding as our Most Worshipful Grand Master. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here with you all this evening.
All right. Thank you for that, Brother Morgan. Now we're going to have um, Brother Ken Collins.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Ken Collins. I serve as the Grand Historian for the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Alabama. I'm a proud member of Pride of North Birmingham Lodge number 319, where the Right Honorable Reverend Dr. Tim Sanford is our worshipful master, and Corey D. Hawkins serves as our Grand Master. And I want to basically give a shout out to those in our leadership, Grandmaster Hawkins, Deputy Grandmaster Glenn, as well as Brother Tim, for all of the support that they've given us thus far. Look forward to having this conversation with you guys today, and everything seems to be going well in this new year.
All right. Thank you for that, Brother Collins. And as you all remember from the last show, which was Brother Preston Collins, last time appearing on the Prince Hall Think Tank. So we had to find a replacement for him, which was a very too difficult task to do. But we were able to do so, and we found a brother, a person I consider my brother and my friend, from the great country of Texas. That's Past Master Curtis Black. So, Past Master Curtis Black, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. I am Past Master Curtis Black, James E. Carter, Lodge number 157, under the jurisdiction of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Texas. Worshipful Master Calvin Stone currently presides, led by the one and only Honorable Wilbur M. Curtis, Most Worshipful Grand Master of the great state of Texas and its jurisdiction.
All right, thank you for that, Brother Black. And now we're gonna have Brother James. Could you introduce our special guest for tonight?
Man, how can I introduce a man of so many talents? How can I do that? Well, I'm going to try. Everybody, tonight, our special guest is Right Worshipful Kevin P. Wardally. Brother Wardally earned a master's degree in organizational management and is a proud graduate of Syracuse University, where he earned a degree in political science and economics. Right Worshipful Wardally is a resident of Harlem, USA, with his wife Adaku and two children, Emerson and Kiana. Right Worshipful Wardally has followed his grandfather, Henry Blakely, who was raised in Adelphic Union Lodge number 14 in 1949, as well as his grandmother, Thurza Blakely, who was a past matron of Prince Hall chapter number 27 and a past illustrious commandress of Medina Court number 11 for the Daughters Auxiliary. Right Worshipful Wardally has a long and illustrious resume, and that's a whole episode in and of itself. But just to give you some of the key highlights, he is a past master of Adelphic Union Lodge number 14 in the great state of New York. He is elected as the Grand Trustee for the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of New York from 2012 to the present. He has served as chairman of the Grand Lodge's Board of Trustees, received his honorary 33rd degree in the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite Northern Jurisdiction in 2015. He's a past worthy patron, past thrice potent master, He's been made an honorary member in several lodges. He's also served his jurisdiction as Grand Librarian, member of several research societies to include the Phylaxis, Scottish Rite Research Society, Philalethes, and several others. He's also working currently as a staff writer for the Working Tools magazine. He is a published author, and along with myself and several others, also co-authored the great book, The Greatest Prince Hall Masons of the 20th Century. Just thought we'd do a shameless plug. And there are many, many, many other things that I can say about this brother. Before I turn the microphone over to him, let me just say, Right Worshipful Ward Dally has served as a mentor to me over the course of my Masonic career, and it is an honor and a pleasure to have him here for the first time. I'm sure it won't be the last, but his first time here on the Prince Hall Think Tank. Right Worshipful Ward Dally, please.
Well, good evening, brothers. I want to thank you for asking me to be a part. I've been a loyal watcher. I love what you brothers are doing. I push it to all the brothers of my lodge. And as you said, I'm a past master of Adelphi Union Lodge number 14 under the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the State of New York. My worshipful master is Daquan El-Amin, and I currently serve as the elected Grand Lodge officer, Grand Trustee under the Most Worshipful Larry Mitchell, Grand Master at present presiding. I love what you guys are doing. I'm glad to be a part of it. I hope to add a little bit on to all the great things that you've mentioned. You guys are doing. I think this topic is a great topic because so greatly in many of the places, especially in the Northeast. Here in New York, we've lost almost half our membership in the last 10 years. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we have not mentored a lot of new brothers that are coming in, younger brothers or just new members, period. The reality is we got people coming in the door, but they're not staying in the door. And we need to do a better job acknowledging why that is and fixing it. And I think this discussion is going to be a big part of helping some folks figure out exactly how to do that.
Well, definitely thank you for that, brother Wadali. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, and I'm going to add you to the list of the brothers from New York that's been on the show. We always have a great time. We have New York brothers on. All right, but the purpose for tonight's show is about mentorship. As Brother Wardali stated, we do a great job of bringing new members in, but once they become a member of your lodge, what happens then? What happens with their education? In many cases, a lot of these brothers are just, after they come to their first meeting, they feel out of place since they're new. They never receive any education. All they really get told is about the next fish fry fundraiser or ticket sales, and they start to distance themselves from the lodge. But not the purpose of tonight's show is tell them how to effectively mentor those young Masons to keep them active in the lodge. All right, so next we're going to go with Past Master Curtis Black. What questions would you have for Brother Wardali when it comes to his solutions about mentoring young Masons?
Well, the first question that I'd have for him is, as far as the newly raised Master Masons, what would be some of the first things that you would have them to study and familiarize themselves with when they first become full-fledged Master Masons in their lodges?
Well, me personally, the first thing that I always try to give the brothers is a little bit of light and a little bit of Masonic business, right? In my lodge, we have this policy. We do 3 things every time we get together. We always shed some Masonic light. We always do some Masonic business, and we always have some form of fellowship. And so the first thing I would do is give them some light, perhaps like the craft and its symbols, observing the craft, or any of the works of Joseph Waltz to kind of whet their appetite for the importance of the thing which they belong to, so they get a sense that it's bigger than just them. I would also then give them perhaps stations and places. And I always suggest that brothers in the lodge, when they first come in, they familiarize themselves with the bylaws and the constitution of their respective lodge and Grand Lodge. It's not exciting reading, but once you understand the rules, it gives you a lot of room to operate within. And so those are things that I would begin with. And then after that, I would open them to the Phylaxis Society. So many of the copies of the Phylaxis Society. Also, we have the Prince Hall Sentinel here in New York, which gives them a sense of how big Masonry truly is. brothers all over the world that look just like them, that are writing articles, that are participating in discussions, doing research, and making a difference in the Masonic world, and that they should strive to be like them. Whether they love history, whether they love symbolism, or if they just want to study genealogy, like our good brother James Morgan, Masonry has something for them. So again, a little bit of light, a little bit of business, and then some form of fellowship and understanding that Masonry is much bigger than just them.
Thank you for that response, Brother Morgan.
Oh, thank you. Brother Wardali, would you be kind enough to give us some background on who were some of your Masonic mentors? I know when I introduced you, I mentioned you have some family history yourself in within the fraternity, but can you talk about the importance not only from I'm sure that there was some kind of connection with your relatives, but also from your lodge and other folks. What were some kind of key experiences that you had as you were kind of climbing the that ladder of fame in this
Absolutely. Three of the brothers I can think of immediately. I think of the worshipful master who served right before me, my junior past, Wayne Francis. He was my sponsor in the Adelphi Union, and he taught me a lot about Masonry and the way in which Adelphi Union gets things done. I think of past Grandmaster Jessime, who was a brother who made me understand that even though he was Grandmaster, he always came to my lodge in a plain white apron. Regardless of the fact that he sometimes he wouldn't even want us to raise the lodge for him, because as he came to his brothers, and that taught me an important lesson about no matter what purple and gold I wear, whatever I may wear, that I'm still the most important title is always brother. And then I would say another brother who passed on, past Grand Assistant Secretary Ed Davis, who was a fantastic brother. In my jurisdiction, who served as a Grand Assistant Secretary for over 10 years. And he taught me about the business of the craft. The things that we do important and they have value. And so between Grandmaster Jessime teaching me about fellowship and how important it is to always be on the level and respect and love your brothers, Ed Davis, who taught me about why petitions and paperwork and things are important. And then of course, Wayne Francis, who helped me understand the model of Adelphi Union and what Masonry truly is.
Thank you for that. I'm gonna send it over to Brother Ken Collins.
Hey, Brother Kevin, we really appreciate you having the time to come on and have the conversation with us. One thing that I like to try to get in some of those questions that a lot of brothers are wanting to ask, but they kind of shy away from. And the one thing that I wanted to pick your brain on in terms of the younger brothers that come in, and younger brother doesn't mean somebody young in years on this earth. I'm talking about brothers that are young necessarily in the craft. When they want to learn more, they want to absorb more, they want to kind of surround themselves by someone older that's more institutionalized in the craft. Can you kind of iterate the differences between the brother who's seeking a mentor, and then not only that, the brother that's also seeking to be a mentee, and the difference also then the person that is the mentor versus the person that's using an able-bodied, willing mind person as a valet. Can you jump into that piece for me?
Yeah, I think I can jump a little bit. I understand what you mean. Too oftentimes, we as brothers and sometimes Prince Hall Masons, we suffer from, we get a big head and we want assistance in every aspect of our life rather than somebody who is really trying to better themselves, and we're trying to teach them Masonry. Instead, we kind of pretend like they are valets or to me, when you're a mentor, it's about active participation. It's about being not only just sitting at the table, but having something to add, asking for your opinion, being open to your ideas in the lodge. One of the brothers mentioned fish fries earlier. I don't believe in fish fries. We got to do things differently. And this new generation has access, and not just age-wise, but these new generation of fellas have access to a lot of different things that some of us may not have thought. who've been in the Masonic world for 10 years or more. And so we've got to embrace those new ideas, and we've got to include them as equal members at the table. Otherwise, they're going to go home and watch those 800 channels they got on their TV. And so I believe you have to involve brothers and give them a seat at the table, value their ideas, implement those that make sense. That way they're more than just a valet. They're a living, thinking actor of your lodge and your institution. And that has so much more value than somebody who carries your bag. I'm not a believer in that. I truly am not.
Brother Gillarm, you have any questions?
Yes. What would you say to that that young brother who really does not, he kind of feels out of place in his lodge, who probably needs a mentor? What advice would you give to him on how to seek out a mentor?
Well, that's tough, because it's hard to know who you're gonna mesh with, per se. But if I was him, what I do is I'd pay attention to the brothers who are speaking in the lodge, brothers who are speaking in the trust board meetings. I would, during a time when we're fellowshipping, listen to who tells some of the best stories, who has some of the best advice, and I would sit down and ask them. I said, look, I want to be better in this thing than I am today, and I'd like your help to get there, right? Because to me, the best definition of masonry is masonry gives us the tools and the support we need to be a little bit better tomorrow than we are today. And that's always been my definition. And I would tell the brother straight up, look, I want to be better in this thing, right? I understand that masonry amongst people of color in this country, and it means something to me. And I want to be better in it tomorrow than I am today. And I think you can help me do that. And I hope that you'd be willing to do it. And look, if they're not, you go on to the next brother that tells the good stories or has some good information and imparts it, and ask them the same question. I don't necessarily want to be you. I want to be a better me in this thing of ours. And I'd like to ask you to help me to get there. And you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. These are your brothers after all. Always the easiest things for, but like I said, the brother who's telling the best stories, who's got the most laughs, he probably don't have a problem if you're a problem.
I think we're having a couple of technical difficulties.
Uh-oh.
Are you still with us, Brother Wadali?
Yeah, I'm here. What happened? Did you lose me?
Oh.
Well, we can hear. We can hear you. We can't see you. Can't see you as well. But Dave, go ahead.
I didn't move.
Okay. Okay, we can still hear you. So we can keep rolling.
All right.
Did you have any more that you want to add to that, Brother Wadali?
No, that's it. Can you see me still? Or no, you still can't see me.
Yes. Yeah, we're good to go.
All right.
All right. Now we're gonna just take a couple of questions from the audience. For Brother Wadali, Brother Morgan, Brother Collins. You mind handling that?
Okay. I got one question here from Oakland, California. And the brother asks, in terms of mentoring, what do you see as the trend? Are you seeing people seeking mentors as a way of title chasing, or a means of actually learning within the craft?
Well, I honestly don't think people who are looking for mentors are pretty much title chasing. I honestly, it's been my experience that the people who are title chasing are the ones who carry the bags, that the brother mentioned a little while ago. The brothers who are willing to do anything above and beyond to kind of be a lackey tend to be the brothers, to me, who have been the title chasers in my experience in masonry. The brothers who genuinely are looking for mentors, to me, are those brothers who are trying to be like James Morgan, right? They're trying to be like some of the brothers on here. They want to learn more about this institution. They want to find new ways to be participants, to learn what they don't know. So folks who are looking for real mentors, to me, are not the title chasers. Not in my experience. Not in my experience. Those brothers really want to be more in this thing, and they've seen examples of people they'd like to be like, and so they're trying to find mentors who can help them along that road. At least that's been my experience.
You know something. I want to share something, and right, worshipful Wardali, brother Wardali. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second here. Of all the brothers who've been on the Prince Hall think tank, I think that outside of probably brother Collins, you're probably the one who I've spent the most time actually sitting in lodge. We've actually sat in lodge together.
Yes,
on several different occasions, and actually in several different states, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
so one thing that I always appreciate about you, one thing I've always watched, is you're very humble, even though you have a very, very long Masonic resume and career. And I remember the last time you actually were here in DC, as a Grand Trustee, we were supposed to receive you in a certain way. And I forgot what lodge it was. I'm not even going to put them on the spot. But this was about a year ago, I think. The Worshipful Master lodge didn't realize who you were. And that, he just kind of brought you in with your lodge brothers and that third. And some of the Grand Lodge officers that were here, in DC were like, wait a second, whoa, that's Kevin Wardali. That's, we gotta do all this and that third. And you would just stand there and you were just like, man, I'm Kevin, I'm here with my Worshipful Master, and I'm just happy to be a brother here in the lodge, And that was really impactful to me because that was, there's some people who I've seen in my career who they get all kind of irritated and they go through all these changes around a title or around being recognized for 30 seconds. And don't get me wrong, I respect the brother's titles, I respect the brother's work that he's put in, but there's a certain way in which you should conduct yourself. I'm reminded of another experience that I had where not too long ago, this was maybe about 4 years ago, I was actually visiting another jurisdiction's annual session, and I was junior warden at that time. So this was going back a minute. And I was looking at the vendors' items that they had outside, just kind of window shopping. And there was a brother, he was a Grand Lodge officer. I don't know his name, don't know what state, and I wouldn't even call it if I did. But he was standing next to me, and I was just being polite like my mother and father taught me. And I just reached my hand out and said, hey, how you doing, brother? Good morning. And he didn't shake my hand, kind of looked me up and down and was like, who are you to shake my hand? I can't remember exactly how he said it, but that was basically what he was saying. He was like, I'm right worshipful, blah, 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 whatever. And, brother junior warden, who do you think you are to come shake my hand? And I was like, whoa. I had never experienced it before, because people who know me know in general I'm a very, friendly person. Or at least I try to be. And so I kind of felt belittled, and I was really kind of, in my feelings about it. And right then, Norman Campbell, who was the immediate past Grand Master of my jurisdiction. At the time, he wasn't even Grand Master. He was, I think, Grand Junior Warden or Deputy or something like that. He saw that, and he walked over and stood between me in the middle of me and this brother. And this brother tried to shake his hand. And, Grandmaster Campbell, he looked at him and says, he goes, well, wait a second, you want to shake my hand and talk to me. But this brother right here, this Junior Warden, got up out his bed, jumped in the car with me, and we rode from DC up here, and you just disrespected him, and like I didn't see that. That was a very powerful thing for me to see him do that. Because some people, they just keep going, they just shake his hand and whatever. But we have to remember that regardless of how high we go in masonry or in life, there's always somebody watching, and you never know the influence that you can have on somebody. And that's an experience that happened to me. Like I said, I'm a past master now, but that happened to me when I had just become junior warden, and I was very hurt by that. But I also felt that was also a learning experience, So I just want to say, I said all that to say, Brother Wardali, I know that you're not up here talking on this stuff. I've seen you actually live it, and for that, I want to thank you, because that has influenced me and how I've tried to conduct myself now that I've kind of scaled the ladder, so to speak, to some degree. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Well, thank you, good brother. Hey, we have some brothers here in New York that have that particular malady as well. Some brothers who you just hung out with just a year or two ago, and they have new positions, and all of a sudden, if you don't call them right worshipful this or right worshipful that, they act like they never met you before, saw you before, and it's completely ridiculous. And I always tell folks, I remind them, in the installation of officers of the worshipful master in New York, every brother here is you have been elected above them for but a time, and brothers forget that this stuff isn't forever, right? Being a brother is forever. All the rest of this stuff, it can be taken away from you. So how do Masons love one another, and how do Masons meet on the level? And that we have to always remember. We're no better than anybody else. That's one of the beauties of this institution in comparison to many others. You don't have to have a master's degree. You don't have to have advanced degrees. You could be a doorman and be a grand, and that has real value. I mean, it has real value, and brothers have to understand that. And so you're never gonna find me doing that ever, no matter what seat I hold, or if I hold none. I'm gonna be a brother.
Thank you for that, Brother Collins, Brother Morgan. Do we have any other questions from the audience as of right now?
Yes, actually we do. We have a question coming in from Brother Jay. It looks like James Carter. He has a middle name there. I'm not going to begin to try to pronounce it. I see James Aminulu Neteru Carter. There we go. He says, I'm assuming this question is for you, Brother Wardali. I guess for the panel as a whole. He says, what do you think about giving the new Master Mason research assignments that are geared for them to bring and present their findings to the craft at large?
We don't do that so much in our jurisdiction. We tend to do it during the process, meaning we give them research projects during their Into the Apprentice classes, fellow craft classes more so. We haven't done so much as Master Masons. You know, in my lodge, if you're Into the Apprentice, you got to go find out what certain words mean. You got to find out why the story of Ruth matters, right? You got to find out about who that third Saint John was, right? Those are things that we instill upon brothers through the process. We put that as part of the process, so much so we have not done research projects as Master Mason. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think that I'm not used to that per se, and I don't think it has. I think it could be valuable. That isn't my experience. My experience is you kind of train them up on the way, and you give them all the tools they need to be the best and most well-rounded Master Masons they could be. And so by the time they're ready to be raised, they're ready to visit. They're ready to begin thinking about what it is they want to become an expert in Masonry. I try to tell every brother to find a thing in Masonry they love, whether it's studying history, whether it's symbolism, whether it's large business, whether it's whatever lights your fire for this institution, because we're all not going to be ritualists, right? We're all not going to be historians, right? But some of us will be. Some of us will love the ritual. And so I want them to focus on that. Some will love the history of our craft, focus on that. Some will love large business and understand parliamentary procedure and stations and places and Robert's Rules of Order, the Masonic edition, et cetera, et cetera. So when you become a Master Mason, it's about finding what part of the art you want to perfect. Kind of as you're building yourself up to become Master Mason, that's when you kind of present those research topics. And I believe you got to work hard as an entered apprentice and a fellow given to us by our forefathers. And it's not ours. It's a gift for our children. I tell my son all the time, I go to lodge meetings so that this institution will be stronger, so that when you get here, you can take care of it. Right? I don't consider it mine. I consider it a gift for my kids and passed down by my grandfather.
We just got another question in. Question is, what advice does the panel have for a brand new worshipful master regarding mentorship? So I think I'm gonna use executive privilege here. I'm gonna throw the rookie and the Prince Hall think tank into the hot seat. Past Master Curtis Black, this is for you.
Thank you, Brother Morgan. Honestly, for the new worship master, the first thing that he needs to learn how to do is delegate, and realize that the weight of the lodge is not exactly per se on his shoulder. If he knows how to delegate these duties to a senior warden, his junior warden, then the lodge will function as one cohesive unit. Uh, I had to learn this, when I was master. I tried to do everything by myself. And then, at that time, my district deputy, Ronald Dirac, told me, hey, delegate, delegate, delegate. You can't do everything by yourself. Although, when it flows downhill, it will flow to you. You cannot do everything by yourself. I mean, you have to fight. You have wardens, you have members of the lodge. You need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are in the lodge, and then delegate those duties to those members in the lodge. Or, I mean, you're going to have headache after headache after every night.
If you don't mind, piggyback on that, and for the worship master too, to understand, treat being worship master like you inviting people to your house. Every lodge meeting, treat that as people are coming to your house, and people come to your house, they usually want to get fed in some type of aspect, whether you give them a drink of water, you give them something. So when those members come to your lodge, you want to give them something. Whether it could be, you could have a long lecture, you could have a lecture 10, 15 minutes. You could just read something that's 1 or 2 sentences long that may provoke thought. Give them something every single meeting.
Yes, sir.
Whether if you print out an agenda, you just put some type of quotation, some type of quote, something on the bottom of that agenda. Make these people think. Give them something that can take back home to them. Take back home with them. And just come to the lodge, open the lodge, conduct your business, close it, and then go home. Have some type of fellowship, because for that new brother, he may be kind of nervous about approaching the worship master about something during the meeting. He don't want to get put on the spot and have to ask a question about something that he may not understand. But during fellowship, he may be able to talk to you in the corner like, "Hey, I didn't really quite understand what this meant. Could you break this down to me?" And that kind of makes everybody let their guard down a little bit if you incorporate some type of little fellowship after your meetings. So turn it back over to you, Brother Morgan.
Sounds good. Sounds good. My question actually would be for the brothers. I kind of have been waiting to share that experience regarding Brother Wardali. I'd like to know from you all, because I do consider, I am the youngest member of the think tank, youngest in terms of age, and I do consider each of you mentors in different capacities. I'd like to know, starting with Ken, with Brother Collins, what were your experiences with mentorship, and then I guess we can kind of go down from there. With everybody else, what experiences? Who were some of your mentors and influences? In your Masonic career.
See, I'm gonna have to call my. I'm actually gonna end up calling my Grand Master out because I came into Freemasonry into Prince Hall Freemasonry as a clandestine Mason, and I had just moved back down south, and I had a previous a professional relationship with the Grandmaster Jones, and I worked with him professionally, so that's how we knew each other. And when he found out I was down there, I said, Grandmaster Jones, I need to get my degrees healed over. And he said, we don't get you in a lodge. So long story short, I come in, and the worshipful master at the time was I want to say it with the most modicum of respect that you give another brother Mason, but he exuded that he knew a lot. But after you sat down and started listening, you know that something's not right. Something's not right in terms of these associations, these affiliations. And then I happened to run into some of the younger guys that were running some of the Yorkite houses in the shrine, and they were moving, and they were doing things, and they were getting ideas together. So I happened to just go up to these guys, and they had like looked at me and like, who are you? I kept telling them who I am. This is what I do. I'm looking forward to getting involved. And they saw some of the company that I was keeping, and they were like, well, okay. And they went on. And I'm like, what is going on? And I happened to talk to the brothers again. This happened 2 or 3 times. And then finally I said, do I stink or something? What's going on? And then finally they're like, um, spend some time with us. And then they kind of put their arms around me. And again, a mentor does not necessarily have to mean someone that's, you know, 20 years your senior. Um, they're 10 years my senior in Prince Hall Masonry. So that there's that institutional knowledge that's there. But at the same time, the institutional knowledge that they received from a brother named W.H. Mack, where he put young men around him. And this particular brother had what's described as the sink or swim philosophy. He put his arms around them. He taught them when he was teaching, and then he say, "Brother, come up here, take my seat." And that's where you learned whether you sink or you swim. And that teaching from W.H. Mack to Corey Hawkins, Lynn Gilliam, Robert Glenn, A.D. Bowman, Victor Pettis, that stuff was kind of passed down to me, Charles Motley, and it's a whole nother crew of guys underneath there. And then it's getting passed along to the other brothers. And in particular, when we talk about mentors, I'm going to talk about the one specific mentor that I had that God rest his soul was a good brother. It was Oliver Washington. I was brand new to the organization, to the shrine, and I happened to meet Brother Washington. He had called us down, and he said, "I need XYZ. I have a national diabetes initiative that I want to put together. I have a legal department I want to set up." And I said, okay. The next day, he had an 18-page document and a 1-page executive summary. And he said, all right. And some of the old guys, and this is the one thing that I think a lot of people will take away. Some of the old guys say he only been in for less than a year. And Oliver said, I don't give a damn if he's been in for 30 years. If he can do the job, let him do it. And that's the one thing that I see with a lot of the younger brothers. If we can pick up, instead of seeing people as threats, see them as assets. Because if we have what do you call it, 10 generals, 10 generals that are able to lead men are better than one. So if you keep creating this upwardly mobile organization with people that are good at, some people are good at enacting programs, some people are good at running programs, some people are good at mentoring people, some people are good at educating. That's what the craft is all about. So that's my stint on it. Brother Gillarm, who's one of your mentors during your formative years?
Wow. And I was sitting here thinking about that, and it would be hard to narrow it down to just one. My first experience with mentorship, many of you know that I got raised in November 2006. And my very first meeting in December was the lodge elections, and I was elected secretary, which was just 2 weeks after being raised. And the very next month, so my very next meeting as a Master Mason, I was actually TDY to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I was really new. I called the Grand Lodge. I told them, the Principal Grand Lodge of Tennessee. I told them that where I was located, which was in Clarksville, how long I was going to be there. I told them how old I was, that I was very new, and I just wanted to attend a lodge. So I believe I talked to, at the time, his name was District Deputy Grand Master Griffey. And Griffey put me in touch with the Worshipful Master David Kesey of Warfield Lodge number 44. And I'm telling you, when I was so new, I didn't even have a dues card yet. I just had my membership certificate. I brought that to the lodge with me to show them who I was. And instead of making me I guess, feel bad, so to speak, because I didn't know anything. They put me in the corner, had actually put me right by the junior warden, and he described every aspect of the meeting to me. They had candidates going through at the same time, so he had me attend those study halls and was pointing different things out to me. They took the time to show me everything that they felt I should know. And these guys had, I was just meeting them for the first time, so that really kind of stuck out to me. And Warfield Lodge number 44 always holds a special place in my heart. And the next incident, I was out in Colorado Springs, and at the time, who was now past Grandmaster Terrence Jackson, was the Grand Junior Warden, and I was attending a consistory meeting, and there were a couple of things I didn't understand that were going on in the meeting. And so he sat beside me and went through everything step by step. And this was a man that was just meeting me for the first time. In my own lodge, our past secretary, who passed away in 2010, Brother Arthur Haley Jr., he used to like drinking Budweiser. So I would go to his house every Sunday, and he was a Chicago Bears fan, and I would bring him a case of Budweiser and tell him I wasn't leaving until he teach me something. So he would spend the rest of the time, teaching me something about masonry, whether it was how to fill out a MRA report or something. So I would learn the importance of not only the ritualistic side, but I understood the business side as well. I've had past Master Edwin Jackson. Our District Deputy Grandmaster Matthew Bonham showed me the importance of what it was like to treat a brother like family. So then I've had our Grand Director of Masonic Education, Doug Evans, who was mentoring me when it comes to history. And now our current Grand Assistant Historian, Dr. Ron Robinson, helps me with looking at things a different way. So over the time, I've had, various mentors. Brother Antoine Lilly, past Master Black, Kid Collins, James Morgan, Ann Huffman out of Florida. I could just go on and on about different people that's been to me in different aspects. So yeah, that's my how I was mentored coming up, and I try to pass on some of these same things to any brother that asks me. I try to look at different tasks. If a brother tell me he's interested in history and he wants to research something, I would give him something easy, something like researching John Wesley Dobbs. There's plenty of information you can find on him. You can Google him, you'll find all kind of stuff. So I try to bring them along slowly, and that's how I look at mentoring different brothers now.
Brother Gillum, I knew you and I were meant to be friends, brother. I got raised on a Saturday, became secretary that Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Man, I'd never forget it as long as I live. My worship master, Thomas Brooks, he said, Brother Wardally, would you take the secretary's desk? And I said, Worsh, where would you like me to put it? Because I knew he couldn't mean he didn't want me to sit there as secretary. I thought he wanted me to move the desk. He had me sit as secretary, and it gave me the blessing. Davis, who was the assistant grand secretary, I immediately ran to him and said, teach me. I can't sit here as a secretary and let my lodge down, and I don't know nothing. Help me. And he sat and he tutored me week after week, until he made me a pretty good secretary. And I never forget it. And he taught me so much about the craft in doing that.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Brother Black?
Wow. Man, there's so many people throughout my Masonic career that have been mentors to me. It would be shameful if I didn't say who my worshipful master at the time when I was raised was past Master Darrell Harris. I like a couple of you, Dave. After I was raised, our next meeting, I was placed as senior deacon spot, and I knew nothing of what to do at that senior deacon spot. Past Master Harris allowed me, to come to his house at, it didn't matter what time of night, to practice, just how to, move around into the lodge, degree work and things like that until, I felt like I was, comfortable with it. I mean, he was so instrumental to me learning the works that, it would be, like I said, it would be disrespectful for me to even not mention his name. Another person would be my very own past master, Fred Bankston. May God rest his soul, who passed away, last year. Man, he was so, I followed him like a puppy, around. I followed him into the Royal Ark. He's the reason that I joined the Knights Templar. He's the reason that I joined OES. He's the reason that I joined the Heroines. I mean, as far as a man who stood, up and, straight up and down and represented Masonry the way it should be represented and walk the walk and talk the talk, it would be him. Not only him, but even in my bad times, to where I was I was a live wire. He would call me and say, "Hey, little brother, that's not the way you need to be. We're better than that. We're different types of men. We're not street men, those guys out there on the street and stuff like that. You should be living a different way now." Also with it would be dishonorable for me, not to mention our grand thrice illustrious master, Troy Cousin, who at a low point in my life, pulled my coattail, and told me, "Hey, brother, you have good things that you want to do, but there's only way that you're gonna be able to do it, and that's to do it the right way. You can't be on Facebook battling with people. You have a group of people who follow you and listen to you. You have to be a positive role model to them." Fred Walker, our past district deputy of District 16, the same type of person with me. These are men that are still currently will call me if I do something wrong and say, "Hey, look, man, Brother Black, no, that's not how you're gonna do it." And they're like they're more like big brothers to me, and I appreciate them for every vote of confidence that they give me, every word that they give me, the phone, even accepting my phone calls when I call them, just to blow off a little steam. Of course, my most worshipful Grandmaster Wilbur M. Curtis, to watch what he has done, during the time that he has been Grand Master of our Grand Lodge, along with his administration, is outstanding. There's honestly no person in my jurisdiction that I respect more than him for the work that he's done, and for the man that he is. I think that there should be a lot of people more like him. I try and emulate what he does, even though I don't speak to him all the time. I mean, we back channel a lot, but his guidance and his vision, for Prince Hall Masonry in the state of Texas is unfounded. I mean, he is the Grandmaster, in my opinion, of Grandmasters in the state of Texas. Since we've been instituted since 1875.
Yeah. I like to say from my mentors, I was gonna start off different, but I'm gonna piggyback on what you said about Grandmaster Curtis, who has been on the think tank about a year ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken. He, one thing about him that I always appreciate is, much like Brother Wardali and others, he doesn't let titles and things go to his head. A few years when I first became worshipful master, I was going to Texas in that I got elected November 25th. And I went down there that December for the holidays because my in-laws are down there. And when I was going down, I said, "Hey, I want to visit the museum and library that you all have down there in Fort Worth," because I was going to Dallas. And I reached out to him and said, "Hey, Grandmaster, I'm coming down. Hopefully I can get into the library museum at some point in time." And he says to me, and I'll never forget it. He says, "Oh, I'll make sure that it's open for you." And I said, "Okay, great." I'm assuming that, I thought, honestly, Brother Black, I thought maybe you were going to be there or somebody else would be, there to give me a tour or something. And when I got down there, I reached out to your Grandmaster and said, "Yeah, I'm down here. Who should I contact to get into the building or whatever?" He goes, "Oh, I'm coming." I said, what? I immediately was like, red light. I'm calling my Grand Lodge, making sure, hey, I don't want y'all, looking at me crazy or not. But that's just kind of person. He drove. I think he lives in Waco. He drove all the way from Waco to the Grand Lodge. He said he had to be there anyway, and he gave myself and my lovely better half. He gave me and her a tour, personally, and I was really thankful for that. That taught me a lot about what the real meaning of brotherhood is supposed to be about. And I honestly don't, and I even though I know he and I have a good relationship, I honestly didn't feel like he was just doing it because I was James Morgan. I felt like he would do that for anybody else, if his schedule and health and business permitted him to do so. Some other folks that kind of have greatly influenced me. I definitely have to mention my vouchers. One of whom was my worshipful master when I got raised, Reverend Ahmad Jamal Reed. Um, Also, past master Ricardo Montague, who actually now is serving as our Grand Worthy Patron here in the District of Columbia. So a big shout out to him. I really want to thank him for teaching me to measure twice and cut once. That's what he always says. Several other. I mean, just so many names. A couple of Grand Masters that have influenced me from my own jurisdiction. Grand Master David A. McWilliams, who was Grand Master when I came in, taught me a lot about the importance of thinking big, the importance of branding our organization. Past Grandmaster Warren R. Whitley, my nickname for him is Dad, and he knows why that is. He's taught me a lot about him and as well as Most Worshipful J. Raymond Murray taught me a lot about foreign relations and being a CCFC and what that's about. And I currently have the honor of serving on the CCFC committee for my jurisdiction, which is something I'm very proud to be able to say. Another person who really, really influenced me a lot is actually Past Master Cedric L. Myers. Past Master Myers, the funny thing about him, and I guess this is my last point, we'll move on. The funny thing about Past Master Myers is that I got raised in Corinthian Lodge in 2010. He demitted into Corinthian, right? Like I think like that next meeting after I got raised, something like that. He submitted his demit paperwork or something. So we basically had been in the lodge the same amount of time. But Past Master Myers had been a Mason since I think 1994, 95 or something like that. And he's a military brother, so he had traveled around, he had been awarded and things of that nature. And he really taught me a lot, not only about masonry, because he's been a member of several different jurisdictions, lodges all over the world, and stuff like that. So I learned about his traveling experiences as a military Mason, but also he taught me a lot about organizational management, organizational leadership, which is actually what he's pursuing a doctorate in now. And I really, kind of followed close behind him, not only in a metaphoric sense, but when he demitted in, he became the senior deacon and I was junior deacon. So we actually progressed through the chairs together, and he became master. Then he moved on, and I actually gave him his past master apron, which I'm honored to say. So there's been many people, and also I'd be remiss if I left out Alton Roundtree and Tahuti Evans, to go back to what Brother Wardali said earlier about finding something that you love. And the year I came in is when Worshipful Roundtree's first book, Out of the Shadows, came out. And and the thing that kind of impacted me about that was when I got the book and I started getting on Blue Light and some of these different social media networks. I was very confused as to why there was controversy, which we don't have to necessarily get into right now. But it made me say, "Wow, this guy put this book out. All these people have issues, or they have questions, or they want to debate things. I need to know. I need to know for myself what is the history of this organization that I just spent all this money to join." And that's what kind of got me on my path to become a Masonic historian, which is not something that I set out to do when I joined. So I'll end it there. Back to you, Brother Gillar.
It's one. I'll be remiss if there's one situation I didn't talk about when it comes to being a mentor. And in 2014, I had just returned from Afghanistan, and I visited the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Arkansas for the annual session. And when I told Grandmaster Cleveland Wilson who I was, he told me that he didn't receive a letter from my Grandmaster. Until I wasn't representing the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia, I was just there to fellowship. Really, I was really coming just to look in their library. And I was linking up with past the Grand Historian Tom Van Buren and Alex Benton. So after talking to him, he had me sat down. He sat me down and asked me if I want something to eat. So went grabbed some breakfast. He told me to sit right beside him, and so we were just doing some general conversation. It was a couple other people I kind of noticed around the table, from Louisiana and from Oklahoma, but I really didn't know what was going on. And after we finished eating, he's okay. Now we can get started. And it was the Southwest Regional Conference meeting. So I'm sitting there with all the Grand Masters, Grand Rally Matrons, Grand Patrons. I'm like, what is going on? I was completely clueless. And he told me that this is the type of stuff that I'm going to need to learn eventually. So I got to see how the Southwest Regional Conference operates. And he didn't have to do that, but it was saying that the same thing happens in my own region, which is the Southeast region, and I just learned a lot from just talking to Grandmaster Cleveland Wilson. So now, do we have any other questions from the audience, Brother Morgan or Brother Collins?
We had one that came through. We had one question that came through, and it said essentially to Brother Worley, but I think it's made to everybody. How do you craft your message in terms of dealing with the millennials and keeping the newest generation interested in Freemasonry? And if I can, I just want to pinch off of this before you jump in, Brother Wardley. For me, I see the millennial as each generation of the craft that's coming in are more and more progressive in terms of their thinking, in terms of their appetite for information. So the way the information was doled out, I would say in the 60s and 70s and 80s versus how information is doled out now in the 2000s, people want more information. That because I told you so is not going to help them. The way that you get to the younger brother of today is to give them a conversation, a lecture, talk to them, sit them down, but also give them footnotes of saying, I said this, and this is where you can find it. Those types of conversation are the things that are going to start bringing your guys back. They're going to be like, okay. And then guess what? They'll go and look for that information on their own, and then they'll come back and talk to you about it. But then just like I can say this panel, what happens to us every time we end up looking for something? We find something else. And then you go down this other tract. And then when you come back to the conversation, just last week, Dave came in before I did, but we're having Dave is my mentor, and I think that I mentor Dave in return, that we're giving each other history lessons in different conversations. So again, what do they say? Iron sharpens iron. And I think that's how you're going to get to those millennials. You have to give them more information, but also give them enough of the carrot and throw the carrot down the street so they'll go to try to get it and then bring it back with more information and more carrots. So that's what I have.
Well, I agree with 1,000% the things that you were saying. I think you also have to use some of the new technology, right? Why can't a lodge, and we've done it in my lodge, and buy a projector, right? Do PowerPoints on some of the, we live in a much more visual generation than the generations of past, right? We can find all the images that make our ritual and our lectures and our symbolism come alive. Let's put the anchor on the screen and talk about it, right? Let's put the heart with the sword pointing through it, talk about it. Let's put the widow, the weeping widow up on the screen and talk about it. Elicit a discussion with these brothers, right? Use the technology of our time. I mean, shoot, we can do little projectors. You can do it on your phone nowadays. Technology has come so far. So I think we have to utilize those things to keep these brothers plugged in. And I think you're 100% right. You got to feed them information. Brothers come to Masonry, to me, for one of three reasons. And you've got to give them those things. Otherwise, they're not coming back, right? They either came from Masonic Light and they thought they're going to get the key to the universe here in some way that they saw on TV or read about. They thought they were going to get some business for their organization or something like that, right? They're going to be able to party because they didn't have a lot of friends as a young person, right? It's going to be something along those lines. They came for a reason. And I always say this to brothers when they're interested in my lodge. I always say, look, if you came here to do community service, just if that's your thing, we do some of that, but we ain't the best at it. You may want to join the Salvation Army. You may want to join, some kind of other institution. You can go help people a lot better than us. If you came here just to party and BS, you may want to join the Elks, or you may want to join something else, because we do some of that, but that's not what we're best at. If you just came here if you want to do social justice and you want to march, you may want to join the National Urban League, or you want to join the NAACP. But if you want to join an institution that's time-honored, true and tested, that's about making yourself better, your community better, your brother better, making you a better person tomorrow than you are today, using the moral teachings of a ritual that truly makes us different. If you want to be that, you want to be with those who are like-minded, you want to get the support of brothers who want to do the same things you do, that want to better your community and be an asset to this world, then you're in the right place. And you'll do a little bit of all that other stuff. And so I think you got to challenge brothers to figure out what they're here for. Make sure you give them that, utilize those new technologies, and make sure that also sometimes if they're only here for that one thing and that's really what they want to do, this may not be the right thing for them. And we've got to be smart enough to know we shouldn't initiate, pass, and raise them because we need the number, because we need good quality men who want to be better. And who want to teach others to be better, to be an example. And so sometimes we may have to pass them to the Salvation Army just because that's really who they are. And it's okay. This ain't meant for everybody. And we shouldn't be ashamed of that.
That was powerful. That was definitely powerful. We got another question in here. Says, what are some key? And I'm gonna send this over to you, Dave. What are some key performance indicators that young brothers should be cognizant of to ensure our success in the craft?
That's a very good question.
And by the way, it comes to you from brother KJ. Brother, I always mess up his first name, Contravis. I always mess it up. He's your fellow Georgian.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he's a Fort Valley State alum, if I'm not mistaken. I say some of the indicators. If you're looking at, I guess, measuring success when it comes to, I guess, mentorship and stuff. When you set out a goal, and hopefully this is something I came up with a couple of years ago, and hopefully this applies to this question. Is when you have a new member, because what happens a lot of times, a person petitions a guy and just drops him off at the lodge. And once he drops him off, that person goes with the study hall committee, and he gets entered, passed, and raised. And that person who petitioned him is never really involved. So, but I would say at least a year after that person is raised, continue to talk to him before a meeting to let him know what to expect. If that person needs a ride to the meeting, go pick him up, bring him to the lodge. Because remember that person just got raised. He may not be familiar with that you don't meet. That he may not be familiar with that you meet twice a month instead of just once a month, what he's used to. So then kind of set out tasks. Tell him, okay, I need you to. These are a couple of items, whether it be a particular Bible verse, whether it be a particular obligation or some other symbol. Take this particular item, and then maybe take a week or so, and then next time we talk, explain this what this means to you. And you want to do stuff like that throughout the year. Talk to the person before the meeting, talk to the person after the meeting. That way he doesn't feel like he's alone. And then you'll start to see, I guess, the way you measure your success in doing that is once this person becomes more confident, you'll see more interaction in the meeting itself. So this person that you've been mentoring, now he may get up and second emotion or even make a motion or put a suggestion on the floor, because now he's starting to have confidence in his ability and his membership into that lodge. So I guess if you're looking at something, how you will measure it, once you start to mentor that person and you start seeing him participate more in the daily lodge activities, then I guess you'll see that what you're doing is actually being successful. Hopefully that answered the question.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else want to take that? Brother Waddell, were you speaking?
Well, I wasn't sure exactly the question. I thought you was asking for his perspective.
Yeah. Well, to repeat, the question was, what are some key performance indicators that young brothers should be cognizant of to ensure our success in the craft?
Oh boy, that's a well. Look, to me, one of the key things that brothers need to have is they need to be open, right? Brothers sometimes they walk in with their preconceived notions of what the craft is or what they expect from the craft, and then they aren't willing to accept a little bit of teaching, a little bit of understanding. And the other thing is they've got to be. One of the things when I was worship master, I used to say to my brothers all the time, right? You don't have to like every brother of the lodge. You have to love every brother of the lodge, and that's a distinct difference, right? Because like means we're gonna hang out, right? We're gonna be at each other's house every weekend, right? We're gonna go to the game together, right? But love means I actually care about your well-being. Right? Love means I want you to be better tomorrow than you are today. Love means that we've chosen to walk a path together, even if we don't have to be best friends. And so, brothers, the society teaches us as Black men that love is a symbol of weakness. Showing that to other men is weakness, and that's a mistake. We have to love each other because that is the only way. That's the only way we're truly going to bond as brothers, have real care for well-being, and because forget. We raise brothers. And when you raise someone, you're responsible for them, right? So you can't get tired no matter how many times they're frustrating you, right? You can't get tired no matter how many times they make an error or they don't do things right. You got to keep working with them. You got to keep showing them love. You got to keep making the lodge and the lodge functions a safe place for them to step outside their comfort zone and give a lecture if they never give a lecture, write a report if they don't write reports at their job, right? However you choose to help them be better, we do it with love, we do it with support, we do it in spite of the outside world. It has to be a refuge. And so I think, although it's not an exact answer, I think you have to be open, and you have to love your brothers at the heart of them. Otherwise, a lot of this stuff will go over your head. If you don't love brothers, man, you can't be on here doing this stuff that you brothers are doing. You brothers love this institution, but you also love the brothers, and I salute you for it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Do we have any other questions?
No, we should be good to go to start up wrapping everything up.
All right. Well, we definitely hope that you enjoyed tonight's show. And one thing to take away from this, if you're gonna look at being a mentor, as Brother Wadali stated, you have to be willing. You have to be patient. You're gonna have young brothers that's gonna make tons of mistakes. You can't get frustrated with them. You just gotta be willing to be there for them. And if you're a person that's looking for a mentor, don't be afraid to reach out and to reach out to people outside of your lodge. I'm pretty sure that I hit up James Morgan all the time. Brother Ken Collins, Brother Preston Black. Sorry, I'm thinking about Preston Collins. I guess he's with us. He's still with us in spirit. Curtis, Brother Damian Jack. He's another brother. He's writing several books. Has tons of knowledge, the fountain of knowledge. Don't be afraid to reach out to brothers like that. So now we're going to have parting comments from our special guest, White Westfield Kevin Wardali.
Well, first I'd like to say thank you to you brothers for including me and being part of this very important discussion. Again, like I said, I salute you for it, and I'm glad to have been. I was honored to be a part. What I'd say about mentorship is so many good things that came out of this discussion here today. Find someone in your lodge or not. Two of the three mentors that I mentioned that really affected me weren't in my lodge. And so find people who speak to your spirit, right? Who you can see care about you, care about this institution, and have something to offer. Find them, talk with them, feel free with them. And if they don't work out, go to the next one. There's no harm, no foul if one person doesn't work out with you, right? Their schedule may not fit, their timing may not fit, but it's important to have someone to look up to work hard with, because they'll then lead you in the direction. Just like our brother Morgan got led to be a historian, one of the brothers I looked up to was the Grand Librarian before me. And I was the first Grand Librarian in my jurisdiction who was not a past master. Every librarian before me was a past master. But I studied under this brother. I went to the library. Every time he opened, I was there. And I ate those books up. And so when the time came, when he was ready to leave to go become a deputy district grand master, he went to the grand master and said, this brother should be the librarian. I know he's not a past master, but he loves this stuff. He's going to bring value. He's going to take it to the next level. And that was because I looked up to him. I studied under him. And when the time came, he put it on the line for me. And so he was a good member. And that's Right Worshipful Kenny Lee. I love that brother. And so they're out there. Those mentors are out there. So don't give up. Keep looking. And if worse comes to worse, talk to one of the brothers on this show, and they'll be a mentor for you. I promise that.
Thank you for that, Brother Wadali. It's definitely been a pleasure having you on. As I stated earlier, we have some of the better shows when we got the New York brothers on. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, brother.
And now, I'm telling you, it is kind of difficult for me, because I look at the screen, I expect to see Preston, and he's not here. So,
can we please have a moment of silence for Preston Collins? Moment over.
He's definitely still with us in spirit. He's still on Facebook, so I'm probably gonna it's probably be late. I won't call him tonight, but I will be talking to him probably within the next 48 hours. But now we're gonna have Brother Black. This is your first run. You survived the test. You didn't pass out on us. So go ahead, give us your part comments.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you all for accepting me as a panelist on this show. This definitely was a pleasure, being able to speak to such a massive audience, actually for the first time in my life. I look forward to many more shows with you all. I hope that, something that I said tonight could be taken by someone who is trying to be a mentor or is trying to be a mentee, and and it helps them out, throughout their Masonic career and also throughout life, because we all know that, once the lodge closes, that does not stop you from being a Mason. You are still a Mason. For anything else would be, uncivilized in my opinion. But thank you again. I look forward to the next show. You all have a blessed night and have a productive week. Until we meet again.
Thank you for that, Past Master Black. Now we're going to have Brother James Morgan.
Okay. Again, I want to say, first of all, thank you to our special guest for the evening, Right Worshipful Kevin Wardali, my brother, my mentor, and my friend. We've traveled many journeys, and that's a brother, man, that's near and dear to my heart. And anytime I got something going on in New York, I always know I got a friend up there who can help me out. Actually even offered to put me up one time, but we'll talk about that later offline. But we've partied together. We've done Masonic work together, and it's just an honor and pleasure to have you on. Every time I think about you, man, I just can't help but smile, because we have some great memories. To brother Curtis Black, or Past Master Curtis Black, again, welcome to the Prince Hall Think Tank. It's going to be a pleasure and honor working with you, sir, and of course to our other panelists, Brother Gillarm and Brother Collins. I would like to say I do have a book recommendation. You know, we try to do book recommendations here. Speaking of Damien Jack, I'm actually currently reading his book, Keys to Leadership: How to Serve in the East. The funny thing about this is I'm reading it now that I'm out the East, but I'm going through and saying, okay, well, maybe next time. No, I'm playing. But no, actually, it's good. It's actually good. A lot of folks may or may not know. I was recently elected Commander in Chief of James W. Banyard Consistory number 11 for the Scottish Rite. So I'm still, even though I'm not in the East of my lodge anymore, I'm in the East in another Masonic body. So I'm learning some things. It's really interesting in that aspect.
Hey, just say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks to you, Brother Morgan, I actually wrote the foreword to that book.
You know what? You know what's funny about the foreword to this book, sir? Let's see here. I see you right here. We got you. We got you right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And we're hosting Brother Jack, for those who are going to be in the New York area in the month of May, 4th Tuesday, 4th Wednesday of May. And he's actually going to stay with me here at the house. We're hosting him at the Prince Hall Grand Lodge here in New York. He's going to speak in my lodge on Tuesday, 4th Tuesday of May. And he's going to speak in our consistory on the 4th Wednesday.
There you go. If you're in New York, and I'm going to challenge my home state folks too from New Jersey. If you're in the tri-state area up there, you definitely go check that out. It's going to be powerful. I'm quite sure. The last thing I will say is, I'm a big believer that the only way you're going to get Masonic education and Masonic mentorship is by being around other more experienced brother Freemasons. Even though the online space is great, don't get me wrong. Even watching the Prince Hall Think Tank, of course, I want you to do that. But nothing beats getting up out your house, going to your lodge activities, going to your district or your jurisdictional activities, and getting to know brothers and sisters, for that matter. Face to face, one on one, get that FaceTime with them. Don't get me wrong, we still want you to watch the Prince Hall Think Tank, but do that, do that after you fellowship with the folks in your jurisdiction and also throughout the country. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of the Prince Hall Think Tank. And by the way, I know we don't talk religion or politics, but we can talk football. I don't care who wins the Super Bowl as long as it's not the Patriots. I don't care who it is. Agreed. The Patriots.
Now we're gonna have brother Ken Collins.
Well, everybody, we want to thank everybody for coming out for the first show of this new year. Click the picture, and everything is going well. This is the start off of a great year. For a lot of us Masonically. I'm going to say how the course of the nation is going. We'll leave politics out of everything, but we definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to definitely thank Brother Wardley, Brother Black for being on the show with us. We look forward to having you guys again. One thing, I need to come up to New York because I got some work I need to do it up in you guys' library, Brother Wardali, and peripherally I can hit you offline and
do it
because I get baptized in those libraries. Another thing that I wanted to make known to our listeners and those paying attention, Brother Gillarm and I will be instituting a book series, educational book series, and it's going to be entitled the Collins and Gillarm Prince Hall Masonic History Compendium. And essentially, within the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be re-releasing some of the older texts involving Prince Hall Freemasonry that really shifted the conversation in Prince Hall Masonry. One book that we're going to be releasing is it's going to be a reprint of Harris's Masonic textbook. It's the only Masonic textbook ever printed or ever published by a Prince Hall Mason. And this textbook in particular has tons of good information in it. And the way that Dr. Harris, he's out of Virginia, the way that he lays everything out, when Dave and I were going through it, Dave was like, man, I love this book. I was like, man, I love this book. Did you see XYZ? And essentially what we're doing is we're republishing the book. We're going to put it back out that way people can take a look at it. Another thing that we're going to publish, that way it's in book form, because what ends up happening, a lot of the brothers end up saying, man, do you have a copy of XYZ? Do you have a copy of XYZ? What we're planning on doing is we're going to reprint them. That way you got it in a nice bound, it's rebound. In some books, you're going to have a new typeface, and then you'll have the old version for those people that like to look at the old. That way you can look at the transcribed and you can look at the original. And then other books, which is going to be a compendium. Another one is going to be Cast Among Men. It's the address of Lewis Hayden. Another one's going to be the one by H.R. Butler. What's the title of that one, Dave?
I believe that was the history of masonry among color being in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
So that's going to be coming at
something to that effect.
That one's going to be book number 3. Book number 4 is going to be the largest work that we're going to be editing. It's actually 4 of us working on that particular book. We're bringing in two quiet guests that we're not releasing yet, and we're going to actually be publishing. It's going to be entitled "The Lodge Prince Hall Freemasonry's Lodge of Perfection." We're going to be basically going through the series of rituals leading up to the current ritual that we have now amongst Prince Hall Freemasons. So we're going to be taking a look at 4th degree all the way through the 14th degree, and specifically we're going to be looking at the actual French ritual, and then we're going to be coming to the segment and seeing how the different not only the similarities but also some of the differences of them. But we're also going to be doing a breakdown of each degree within our own words, because too many times one of the greatest lies ever told in Freemasonry amongst Scottish Rite Mason is they read Morals and Dogmas. That's the biggest lie ever told amongst Freemasons. So what we've done is we've basically split up the Lodge of Perfection degrees. We're basically doing the breakdown of 4 different rituals that actually led up to our current ritual, and then we're going to basically give you a layman's view of the Scottish Rite. But we hope you guys actually buy the books. We want them to be reasonably priced, but for the actual time that we're spending, the money that we're actually bringing in, we're going out and buying other proceedings. And what we're going to end up doing is, part of this compendium now is, if you're looking for Grand Lodge proceedings, you go to the Collins and Gillarm compendium, and then they'll already be broken out in different volumes. So you can buy a stack of volumes, and it's already bound, it's already photocopied, and you can go through and take a look at them. That way you won't be searching for them. But anyway, as usual, the Prince Hall Think Tank, we'd like to thank you for viewing. We want to send a shout out to our noble founder, Antonio Caffey, Free Caffey. We'll look forward to seeing you again. And remember, if you see a book, pick it up and read it.
So I have a question about that, Ken. First of all, you say if I see a book, read it. I'm looking behind you there at your bookshelf, and I see a whole lot of proceedings and books and stuff. So if I happen to break in your house tomorrow night and see some books, will I be wrong to pick them up and read them at my house?
You might have a hot one in your behind.
Okay. Well, I was just asking because I was gonna fly Curtis up here. We was gonna just come to the back door. I just wanted to know. So, thank you for that, and I'm sure Curtis would be more than happy to oblige.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, fellas.
All right. Speaking of that, shout out to brother Tony James. Tony James came over my house one weekend, and I told him I have quite a few items here, and he was blown away about the amount of proceedings and souvenir journals, and I have pretty much enough stuff in my house to start my own museum. And I had to keep an eye on him the whole time because he looked like he had some sticky fingers. But in closing out, definitely want to look at the Collins Gillarm Compendium. It's going to have some great information into it. We both producing solo projects as well. Brother Collins is going to be coming out with the Alabama history book around the same time that I will be coming out with From Sims to James with the history of Prince Hall Masonry in the state of Georgia. So you definitely want to be on the lookout for both of those items. And as far as my book recommendation, and we have Black History Month coming up, even though we should do Black History Month 12 months out of the year. These books were produced by Arcadia Publishing. If you go to Arcadia Publishing, you can probably put in your town. They're probably going to have one of these books for your town. It has tons of information in it. It has some great pictures, and you can learn about your local history. So check Arcadia Publishing and pick up one of those books. They roughly run about $20. And some of the visions that we're looking at for 2017, not only are we going to look at touching some of the more controversial items, we're going to look at highlighting those brothers that's making a difference in their communities. And for next month, one that brother that's making a difference in his community, and actually he's making a difference nationwide.
Donald Trump. Oh wait, he's not a Mason. He's not a Prince Hall Mason. Never mind.
And that would be Past Master James Young from the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Michigan.
Yes,
Past Master Young is doing some outstanding things when it comes to congestive heart failure awareness. And he's going to tell his story and what he's doing. It's going to be an amazing episode. We're also going to touch on some of these, some of our organizations and their contribution to society, such as the Shrine's National Diabetes Initiative. We know that when people hear the term Shriner, they automatically think about the hospitals, but the initiative for the ancient Egyptian Arabic Order Nobles of the Mystic Shrine is we have the National Diabetes Initiative. So we're going to talk about that, what that entails, and if you want, and how you can get involved in it. So we're going to start looking at doing more things like that, highlighting these brothers, and also get into maybe some more of the controversial topics. And as always, if you have your idea or suggestion, feel free to shoot that to us in the Prince Hall Think Tank Facebook group or the Prince Hall Think Tank Facebook page. And as always, thank you for your support. And we look forward to seeing you next month. And if you're going to cheer for anybody, cheer for the New York Knicks. Have a good night.
They don't have a chance. And good night, everybody.